Welcome to another exciting episode of Early Business Tycoon. Today's episode, AC, Machine or Million. Andrew Carnegie, born in Dunfermline, Scotland on November 25th, 1835, was born into a family with a long radical tradition. Carnegie's father, William, was an active Chartist, a person who was for a movement for political and social reform in the United Kingdom during the mid-19th century between 1838 and 1859. In 1848, when Carnegie was about 12, there was an economic depression that convinced the Carnegie family to immigrate to the United States, where they enjoyed a Scottish colony in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, which is near Pittsburgh.
Andrew Carnegie began to work at a local cotton factory at the age of 12. When he was 14, he started to work as a messenger boy at the Pittsburgh Telegraph office. During this time, he had received no formal education in Scotland. He began to further his knowledge by attending night school.
While he was working as a messenger boy in 1853, he was noticed by Thomas A. Scott, the superintendent of the Western Division of the Pennsylvania Railroad, in 1859. He made Carnegie his private secretary and telegrapher. Before the Civil War began, Scott got promoted to president of the company, which led Carnegie to succeed Scott as the superintendent of the Western Division of the Pennsylvania Railroad. He soon started to take the first step towards the investment program.
While the Civil War was going on, Scott became appointed Assistant Secretary of War, and Carnegie followed him to Washington to work as his right-hand man, where he worked on different things, including his work on organizing the military telegraph system.
Carnegie wisely invested in several promising ventures, including the Woodruff Sleeping Car Company, also several small iron mills and factories. Carnegie regularly made visits to Great Britain, where he observed the rapid developments in the iron industry. He was increasingly impressed by Henry Bessemer, who invented the converter and his breakthrough technology for making steel from pig iron. In 1870, Carnegie created his first blast furnace that he made using the ideas that were being developed by Bessemer, England. Following this milestone was the opening of his steel furnace in Braddock, Pennsylvania in 1874. He took in several partners, one of which was Henry Clay Frick.
I'm Bear Grylls, and today we are going to observe the now extinct Andrew Carnegie. This amazing man sold all his interests in 1873, and he turned his full attention to steel. With the vast knowledge that he had, this would acquire the components to become the famous Carnegie Steel Company. He first opened his steel plant in 1875. Soon afterwards, gotta take a breather, he named the facility for his president of Pennsylvania Railroad, J. Edgar Thompson. Carnegie received an enormous order from this organization for the reduction of steel rails.
Shortly after marrying his wife Adelaide in 1881, Frick met Andrew Carnegie in New York City while Frick and his wife were on their honeymoon. This meeting resulted in the partnership between H.C. Frick and Company and Carnegie Steel Company, and was the predecessor of United States Steel. This partnership ensured that Carnegie Steel Mill had adequate supplies of fuel coke, which was derived from coal.
Andrew Carnegie had a large interest in various social and political issues. In result of these interests, he wrote Round the World in 1881, American Four in Hand in Britain in 1883, and The Triumph of Democracy in 1886. In addition to his books, the North American Review in June 1889 published the article Gospel of Wealth.
Andrew Carnegie always ran most of the business by himself as chairman. Then, in 1889, Carnegie needed to move to New York to deal with the growing importance of research and development. Carnegie decided to have his partner, Henry Frick, become chairman while he was away. While he was gone, he also decided to spend 6 months in Scotland with his family.
Oh, once again, I'm Bear Grylls, and now we turn our attention to yet another important creature, the Henry Frick. When this man took temporary control of Carnegie's firm while he was away, the firm consisted of various mills and furnaces in the Pittsburgh area. Frick became concerned that he was not centralized management structure, and so in 1892, all productive units were integrated to form the Carnegie Steel Company, valued at $25 million. It was now the largest steel company in the world.
Henry Frick wanted to increase the profits incoming to his company, so he decided to lower the piecework weight range of his employees. This made many of the employees mad, and in 1892, the Amalgamated Iron and Steel Workers Union, also known as the AA for short, called out its members at the Carnegie's Homestead plant. The strike started on June 30th, 1892. and the people had been striking for about a month. Frick decided to counter this by employing 300 strikebreakers to fill in for those who had left.
Strikebreakers were people who were hired by the companies to work for people who were on strike so that the company would not lose any money. The strikebreakers were brought in on barges down the Mangala River. That was when all hell broke loose.
The people who were on strike were very angry that the company decided to hire strikebreakers, so the strikers waited for them to come in. When the strikers arrived in an all-day battle on July 6, 1892. The battle ended with the Pinkerton agents who were assigned to protect the strikebreakers surrendered. After 142 days of striking and day of fighting, the strikers finally came to an end when the Homestead chapter of the AA voted 101 to 91. To return work on November 20th, 1892.
As a result of the fight that came to be known as the Battle of Homestead, 16 people were killed and 23 others were wounded. Carnegie was furious with Frick because he had not told him not to use strikebreakers, but he did not criticize Frick when he made a public appearance and took responsibility for what happened.
The Carnegie Steel Company continued to expand, and between 1889 and 1899, the annual production of steel rose from around 3,000 tons to over 2.5 million. Profits also increased from 2 million to 200 million. There was a growing between Carnegie and Frick at the time in 1899. Carnegie bought out Frick for 15 million. Later in 1901, Frick joined with J.P. Morgan and bought out Carnegie's company for $500 million. Shortly after this, Carnegie retired. This is better. Grills signing off. Where's my rescue team when I need it? Thank you. Gotta go, guys.
When he retired, Carnegie devoted himself to dispensing his fortune for the public good. He gave money to universities, libraries, hospitals, parks, meeting halls, concert halls, swimming pools, and church buildings. Andrew Carnegie died in 1919 at the age of 83.
At the height of his career, Carnegie was the second richest person in the world, behind only John D. Rockefeller of Standard Oil.
We thank you for watching this exciting chapter in Early Business Tycoons. We apologize to those who suffered brain trauma while watching our production. Please, do not sue us. We don't have money as it is.
Yeah, stop this. 501. Listen up, everybody. Listen. Let's go. Let's come on. It's gonna be something special.
Look at that. Look how cute they are. Zack being a really big baby. For the record, this is his coat.
Between H.C. Frick and Company and Carnegie Steel Company, and was the preceder of United States Steel. This partnership ensured that
Thank you so much.
there goes a sad, misunderstood man.
That's a pussy right there.
I will murder you! Come here!